Last week I talked about feel, the first step of heart first architecture. This week, step 2, flow. Feel showed you how each moment in your client relationship actually feels right now. Flow is what you do with that information. It's designing each step on purpose. So the feeling you actually intend is the one that happens every time, instead of whichever one shows up depending on your week. If your client experience already swings between chaos and sterile and you're ready to address it, the link is in the bio for a free consultation. If you want to see how this works first, keep watching. Every client relationship moves through the same handful of moments. The first conversation, the first yes, the first delivery, and eventually the goodbye. Flow isn't just about making those moments consistent. It's about making sure what the client feels at each one stops depending on chance and starts depending on what you actually intended. Here's what that gap actually looks like. A new client signs, and without flow, one of two things usually happens. Either what they get depends on how your week is going, warm and clear on a calm week, a recycled template, or 3 days of silence on a chaotic one. Or you've automated it to avoid that problem, and now every client gets the same experience, but it's a sterile one, generated for anyone, feeling like it came from no one in particular. Consistency alone was never the goal. A perfectly automated welcome sequence that reads like it was written for a stranger is still a failure of flow, even though nothing about it was left to chance. Either way, the client isn't getting the specific feeling you actually intend. One version is unpredictable. The other is predictably hollow. Flow is neither of those. It's the sequence built with enough of you actually in it that the intended feeling shows up the same way every time, without needing a human to improvise it live or a machine to fake it. Feel tells you what each moment currently feels like and what you want each moment to feel like. Without flow, that knowledge doesn't do much on its own. Knowing what you want a client to feel doesn't make it happen automatically. Something still has to actually deliver it in the right order every time. Without flow, you're left with one of two things: an automated system with no human in it, or no real process at all. A dancer isn't just repeating memorized steps. They're making sure the audience feels a specific thing every single performance, regardless of how the day went backstage. The choreography is what makes that feeling repeatable. That's what flow does for a client experience. The first conversation covers the same ground every time, not from a script, but because you know exactly what needs to be said for the client to feel heard, not just informed. The shift from yes to we're working together has a shape, so the client feels momentum instead of uncertainty. The ending is as intentional as the beginning, so it feels like an open door instead of a fade to silence. Here's how you build this. Take what feel gave you and turn it into a sequence. What happens in what order, triggered by what, so it runs the same way every time without you remembering it live. It runs from there and gets updated as needed. None of this makes the experience feel less like you. It's what keeps it from turning into either version mentioned earlier, unpredictable or sterile. Flow isn't about eliminating the human from the process. It's about building the human, the tone, the intention into the automation instead of leaving it out. Next week, the third step, fuel, where that consistency starts compounding into referrals and renewals. If your client experience is still swinging between improvised and sterile, schedule a call and let's talk. The link is in the bio, and I'll see you in the next video.